Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, students taken to hospital after ingesting weed brownies. Could police get involved in a tourism audit probe? Murders increased by 63%. And the government in fuel talks with Saudi Arabia. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, 4 students of Akefren International Academy needed medical attention after ingesting marijuana edibles that were shared around school grounds. Cale Campbell reports.
Several of the students presented signs of illness having ingested sweets.
An investigation is currently ongoing after a group of 22 Akefren students from the primary school to senior school ingested marijuana edibles purchased by one of the students and shared around the school campus. Founder and CEO Dr. Jacinta Higgs was taking part in a conference when she received a call from the principal informing her of the situation.
In my top administration, members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force in terms of reservists. And so therefore immediately all protocols were done. 22 students were pulled in terms of investigation on the ground immediately. They were pulled, they were isolated in rooms, and questions began. Immediately the police was called. Foxhill Police Station, we had DEU, and we had also EMS. Parents were also notified immediately.
Once school staff became aware of the situation, emergency medical services personnel were called. Higgs says out of the 4 students taken to hospital, 2 are at home resting and the other 2 are still receiving medical care.
Once we identified the students who presented illness or behavior, again, as I said, EMS came, but the parents opted to take them themselves to their private physicians. But I also heard 4 for sure went to the Princess Margaret Hospital. 2 have since been released, and then Mrs. Ingram, the principal, is right now just checking up on the other 2.
As an investigation is launched, Higgs says she believes expulsion is a last resort, but it is still a criminal matter.
The full extent of the law must be done. I served as a former senator where we passed laws to protect children. And so therefore, through this experience, persons who didn't know or believe that that's cute or that's acceptable to mix sweets and sell it to children or provide it to children, they will have another thing coming in terms of their thinking again before they do that.
For Our News, I'm Cale Campbell.
Officials are taking a closer look at that Auditor General's report on the Ministry of Tourism, according to the Prime Minister. He says the report confirmed his suspicions about the travel health visa were spot on. Berthany McDermott reports.
On the heels of an Auditor General's report which revealed government officials violated the law and ignored certain best practices, Prime Minister Philip Davis says an investigation has been launched into the findings.
The audit report was quite revealing, as you would have noted, and there are a number of findings that require further inquiries. And I'm advised by the relevant technocrats in our ministry that those inquiries will be engaged, and the relevant agencies that have charge of inquiries for those matters will be engaged to do it.
Davis's comments come one day after Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper told Our News he has accepted the answers from tourism officials regarding the report's findings. The audit revealed that in some instances contracts were not executed in accordance with financial regulations. It also stated that no competitive bidding was pursued and said services commenced initially with only a verbal agreement. Additionally, a contract was never officially signed with Canoe, which was responsible for executing monthly payments to all vendors. When asked if the investigation could result in police involvement, the Prime Minister said this.
That will not be a matter for me to decide. That will be a matter for the authorities to decide.
Now, back when the travel health visa was rolled out, the then Davis-led opposition took issue with the way it was done. Today, Davis said that audit revealed that his suspicions were correct.
My hunch was right. My concerns have been manifested by the findings of this report. We were concerned about the efficacy and propriety of the arrangement and how it was set up, and the report has now revealed what we feared. And the other thing is we now have to do is follow the money.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Commissioner of Police Paul Roll revealing a 63% spike in murders in 2021 when compared to 2020. Jared Higgs has more crime figures from the Commissioner's press conference today.
We recorded 119 homicides in 2021, including 104 in New Providence, 12 in Grand Bahama, and 3 in the Family Islands district.
That figure is a 63% jump from the 73 murders recorded in 2020 during a year of strict coronavirus rules that limited movement. Roll says police saw 56% of murders in 2021, while overall crime was relatively the same in 2020 and 2021. There was an 18% increase in crimes against the person last year. Among the major categories, there was a 34% increase in attempted murders, a 7% increase in reported rape cases, a 23% decline in cases of unlawful sexual intercourse, a 33% increase in armed robbery, and a 36% increase in attempted armed robbery. Roll also revealed that there were 20 police-involved shootings, 11 fatal and 9 non-fatal.
10 of the fatal injuries are before the coroner's court, 1 is before the disciplinary tribunal, and 1 police shooting is before the magistrate court.
Roll provided more details about the consequences of a police-involved shooting where there were 4 victims.
In the case that occurred on December 12, 2021, with the victim Antonio Johnson, Anton Roll, Hushan Papal, and Weldonisha Dossett, 7 police officers have been placed before the discipline tribunal and have since been interdicted.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
The Davis administration has initiated talks with Saudi Arabian officials about directly accessing fuel from that Middle Eastern nation, according to Press Secretary Clint Watson.
What Prime Minister Davis has been able to strategically do is to begin a discussion with the Saudi Arabian government of how we can work a network to access oil from them, to access fuel from them, so that it will cut down on the overhead costs coming into the country.
Watson added Saudi officials seem to be receptive.
It is a great strategy if we can work together with them in that regard, and would significantly impact what we see happening at the ports, at the pumps, at the wholesalers, because it all relies back on, of course, shipping costs, trucking costs, and all of that is going up with rising fuel prices. And so this is something that Prime Minister Davis initiated in conversation with them, something that they are open to discussions with, and we're looking to see how quickly and soon we can begin that bout of discussions to bring relief here to our domestic supply.
In other news, veteran journalist and Jones Communications Network CEO Wendell Jones has been appointed Bahamas ambassador to the United States. Prime Minister Philip Davis officially announced the appointment this afternoon, expressing confidence Jones will continue to strengthen diplomatic relations in Washington, D.C. Jones started his career in journalism at the Broadcasting Corporation back in 1972 and has published several books. He called it an honor to serve his country.
I pledge that I would dutifully serve our country with excellence, serving the interests of the Bahamian people who are here in the Bahamas and those of the diaspora. I pledge that we will do everything in our power to put the best foot of the Bahamas forward in everything that we do in the United States of America.
A good night for stargazing. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Christina. Our first look at weather tonight is being brought to you by Ports International, trusted medical supplies for a better quality of life. Comfortable temperatures on the outside in the 70s, 74 degrees under mostly clear skies. We still have a bit of a breeze out there, east-southeasterly wind flow at around 10 miles per hour, and it's gusting at times. And your feels-like temperature at 76 degrees. On our satellite, nothing happening across the islands. That moisture that was generating a few isolated showers overnight now pushing well to the north, just off the east coast of Florida. High pressure ridge dominates our weather. It's going to provide us with some very nice weather tonight through tomorrow, and then we expect those winds to start falling off into the weekend. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come. Still to come, the family of a man killed in a hit-and-run accident speaks out.
and the issue of gender-based violence discussed during a law review forum. Find out more after this.
Get that glorious internet connection back in business within seconds with the new self-help modem reset. Just follow these very easy steps. Step 1, call 601-2200 or 242-300-2200. Number 2, select option 3. Step 3, select option 2. Step 4, enter your 8-digit account number. Step 5, follow the prompts. It's really that simple. Rev, you and us together.
The woman allegedly responsible for a fatal hit-and-run accident surrendered to police earlier today. The victim's heartbroken family says he was walking to work when he was killed. Jared Higgs has the details.
Overwhelmed with grief, Sandy Roll's family visits the scene of where he was killed early Monday morning.
You left him to die in the road like a dog, basically. Nobody want that for their family member.
Roll, a 53-year-old truck driver at Bahamas Waste, was struck and killed as he was walking to work. His car was down, but family members say he was dedicated to what he did. Surrounded by Roll's brothers, sisters, one of his children, and his father, first cousin Tanya Monker questioned how the driver could live with herself after leaving the scene.
How could you sleep at night? How could you sleep at night knowing that you left somebody to die in the road?
According to police, the incident occurred after 1:30 on Monday morning. Roll was struck as he walked on JFK west of Christie Avenue. Investigations revealed that Roll was struck by the driver of a light blue Nissan Note that left the scene heading in a western direction. While that driver didn't stop, a driver heading in the opposite direction saw what happened and called police. Family members initially offered a reward for information on the driver of the vehicle, but she has since turned herself in.
Sandy was my third child. A loving father, a loving son.
Sandy was a quiet, soft-spoken, humble, loving, kind-hearted, kept to himself kind of person. Okay, he was a real loving person.
Family members say Roll was the father of 3 adult children. Reporting for Our News, I am Jared Higgs.
Thanks, Jared. Well, weeks after the Davis administration was heavily criticized over a trip to Dubai, another government delegation is set to head to the United Arab Emirates. Nearly 24 officials from the Ministry of Agriculture will travel to Dubai. Minister Clay Sweeting says it will be well worth it. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Agriculture Minister touched on a number of topics today, including that upcoming trip to Dubai and who will be going and how much it will be costing. The Agriculture Minister and a 19-member delegation will be heading to Dubai later this month to attend the inaugural Food for Future Summit and Expo.
I think it's very important that we are outlining our transparent to the Bahamian people in regards to travel. The Ministry of Agriculture comprises of it's a very vast ministry. So we'll have persons from BAMC, BAIC, BAFSA, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Marine Resources, which all will work in tandem because this summit is very busy.
The trip is slated to cost just over $100,000. Sweeting gave the breakdown.
The trip costs roughly $25,000 per department. So, you know, it's not that costly, and the benefits that we will receive will be monumental.
Sweeting says he hopes new technology from Middle Eastern partners can help the Bahamas with developing a national food strategy at a time when the global COVID-19 pandemic drives food insecurity through rising prices and supply chain problems. He says the topic is timely given the fact that inflation remains a major concern. According to Sweeting, the Davis administration is working on getting prices down locally and recently held a meeting to put their plans in motion.
And the Prime Minister is committed to enacting policies where we can hope to reduce the price of food across our nation.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Prime Minister Philip Davis addressing growing concerns over gender-based violence in the country during a National Discretionary Law Review Forum today. Sharika Johnson reports.
Amid heightened focus on gender-based violence, Prime Minister Philip Davis says Attorney General Ryan Pinder is looking at how domestic violence legislation can include a new approach to fighting gender-based violence in the country. However, he asserted modernizing the country's laws to fight gender-based violence is not enough. Speaking at the National Gender-Based Violence Law Review Forum, he added the public shares a responsibility in ending violence against women.
We also need long-term prevention strategies, which includes civic and community involvement, education, and being able to reach the hearts of our people.
United Nations Committee member Marion Bethel believes the discussions must include the discrimination that marginalized women with intersecting identities still face in the country.
More work needs to be done to ensure that the women's movement itself is more inclusive and that women from marginalized groups, inclusive of other abled women, LGBTI women, women migrant workers, women of different faiths are meaningfully represented at all levels.
In recent weeks, the country has seen a spike in violence against women, stirring public outcry. Social Services Minister Obi Wolchcombe believes this violence is deeply rooted in gender inequality.
Gender equality is a broad discussion that must be had, and we must have the determination to make the difference now.
For our News, I'm Sharika Johnson.
When our news returns, marital rape and the ugly truth of women's battle for protection. And UB showcases its ladies softball team in Florida. The details when our news returns.
Get that glorious internet connection back in business within seconds with the new self-help modem reset. Just follow these very easy steps. Step 1, call 601-2200 or 242-300-2200. Number 2, select option 3. Step 3, select option 2. Step 4, enter your 8-digit account number. Step 5, follow the prompts. It's really that simple. Rev, you and us together.
This is our news. Welcome back. A women's advocacy group sharing horror stories of women sexually abused by their spouses. Members are calling on government officials to address the issue instead of taking the easy way out. Vonique Tu takes a look in tonight's edition of When Love Hurts.
The stories will shock you.
Someone that I knew renting an apartment could hear next door the husband raping his wife. And yes, I say raping his wife. How do I say that? She could hear the blows. She could hear the woman trying not to cry out. Ah! She could hear the sounds of the intercourse against the force of the bed.
It's an issue that not only impacts the victims, but their children.
A child who came to me who used to witness his father raping his mother. God. And when he finally got old enough to want to speak of it, he then took the boy's only source of emotional support, his dog, and put it in the freezer.
Oh, God.
Okay? So the reality is there's no rights for that animal, no rights for that child, and no rights for that wife.
Successive governments have tossed about the idea of criminalizing marital rape. However, the necessary legislation has yet to make it to Parliament. It begs the question, is there a political will to make it happen?
To date, there has been no political will. And this is where it becomes a game up to the people to push this issue. Absolutely. They're never going to do it. It's an uncomfortable issue. And to be quite blunt, the church is going to push back hard against this issue. So this is not a comfortable political issue to address. So it's up to the people to become more vocal about what they want in this regard.
Members of Advocacy and support group Women United warned against taking the easy way out in this discussion.
And they'll come from different angles, talking about rough sex and all these different things that, oh, she liked it rough. But we have to make sure that no woman wants to be violated and abused to that extent. So what we're doing is asking women, asking individuals to, send letters, talk to your parliamentarians, your members of parliament, and let them know. So that's something we're putting some action plans in place. We're not just going to talk. We're galvanizing. We're putting things in place so the women are empowered and know what to do.
Critics have asked, how will you know if it's rape? To that, attorney Lisa Boswick says,
The police and the prosecutors are not going to charge rape where it's not clear. I dare to say that where a charge of rape is laid against a husband or a wife, you will have very significant physical evidence on that other person that will be difficult to ignore.
State Minister for Social Services Lisa Ramming has said a proposed gender-based violence bill will likely address marital rape, but she was unable to say what kind of penalties will be associated with such complaints or provide a timeline for the completion of the bill. The proposed legislation has not yet gone before Cabinet. Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Toot.
Thanks, Vonique. Well, the Bahamas set to host a major high school basketball tournament. Marcellus Hall has the details tonight in sports.
All right, thanks, Christina, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. A few weeks back, we told you about a major U.S. high school basketball tournament coming to the shores of the Bahamas. Well, yesterday, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Bolag, making it official, saying it is indeed, once again, the Bahamas that'll be showcasing a major event. Let's take a look. One of the top high school basketball tournaments in America now makes its way to the shores of the Bahamas as Hoop Fest will become one of the latest tournaments to now call the Bahamas its home. Yesterday, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Bolag, saying exactly how it all happened and what the country is now looking forward to.
It's expected to be extremely competitive as we will be hosting the 4 top high school basketball teams from the United States, along with 2 all-star teams from the Bahamas, one from New Orleans and the other from Grand Bahama. Total, there will be 6 teams participating. 2 teams that have already been approved for the competition is number 1 ranked Duncanville High School from Duncanville, Texas, and number 3 Sunrise Christian Academy. Both of these teams are currently ranked in the top 5 in the United States. Notably, one of our very own, Buddy Hield, attended the Sunrise Christian Academy.
University of the Bahamas women's softball team hitting the field for the team's first ever international tour over the past weekend. And despite not picking up a win over the 4 games, the team was still able to improve. Head coach Shane Albury said the team was able to develop camaraderie during the tour against St. Thomas and Florida Memorial University.
I think we've had great chemistry for the team. We've learned some of the characteristics of several players have come out more over the past 2 days. And I'm talking about it in productive, like, let's say if you want to get to know me, come and live with me. So the past 2 days, we have seen more of the players open up to each other, give into the team concept. We have seen players play positions that they usually wouldn't play and did extremely well. Given the amount of injuries that we sustained over the past 2 days, we had to, move pieces around, so to speak.
And that's your look at sports here on this Thursday. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for another edition of The Locker Room. That's coming your way. Got a great show ahead of you for that particular show. That's coming out on 6:30 on Friday. I've always lock your dials in for that. Going to be special, I promise you. That's your look at sports. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Marcellus. Keep those sunglasses handy. Greg looks at the weekend weather when our news returns.
Get that glorious internet connection back in business within seconds with the new self-help modem reset. Just follow these very easy steps. Step 1, call 601-2200 or 242-300-2200. Number 2, select option 3. Step 3, select option 2. Step 4, enter your 8-digit account number. Step 5, follow the prompts. It's really that simple. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to our news. Sunny skies heading into the weekend. Greg is back with our extended forecast.
Thanks again, Christina. Happy Thursday evening, everybody. Quiet conditions once again around our islands as that high-pressure system continues to pull off towards the east. Some moisture still associated with that old frontal boundary lifting across the northwest Bahamas. So we saw some spotty showers and some patchy clouds, but most of that moisture is now off the southeastern United States. That high will continue to move out into the open Atlantic, and that's going to be paving the way for a system that's now taking shape across the southeastern United States. Frontal boundary should get here by the weekend. We don't expect much of any weather really in terms of showers and thunderstorms associated with the frontal boundary, but once again, we do expect the winds to pick up once this frontal boundary gets through our area by next week. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Small craft, use caution. Your winds will be southeast to south, 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet, but they will be up to 6 feet in some swells. Your high tide will be at 8:30 tonight for the central and southeastern islands. Caution fly for you guys down there as well. East to southeast winds, 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Thursday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.